Welcome to the session, folks. So we're diving into the world of Scrum development teams today, focusing on who they are and what they really do. It's like the backbone of Scrum, right?
Absolutely. It's the engine that actually drives the sprint forward. So we're talking about self-organizing teams that build the product increment, yes?
Exactly. Yeah. The Scrum development team is this cross-functional crew that takes charge of executing the sprint, designing, building, integrating, and testing the stories from the sprint backlog to deliver a potentially shippable
Yep.
product increment. It's all about delivering real value.
And they work very closely with the product owner too, right? Like the PO brings in the vision and backlog, and then this team turns it into reality.
Right? They do assist with backlog refinement as well, though the product owner remains primarily responsible for that. But the team contributes their insights, estimates, and priorities. It's sort of a collaborative
Mm-hmm.
dance where, say, about 10% of their capacity goes into grooming the backlog.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. It's a neat balance between actual sprint work and continuous preparation for future sprints.
Exactly, that's one of the key responsibilities. And another big part is sprint planning. At the start, the team works with both the PO and the Scrum Master to define the sprint goal, estimate the tasks, and decide how much they can really handle based on
Right.
historical velocity. It's like setting the game plan before hitting the field.
So, in this planning phase, they achieve consensus by committing to the sprint goal. But person one, what about daily coordination? How do they keep things on track?
Oh, that's where the daily scrum comes in. Every day they meet up, inspect progress, and adapt their plan if needed, sort of like a daily huddle. It's not only about status updates, but also about identifying any
Yeah,
impediments early. And it really maintains that agile spirit.
right. And speaking of agility, the inspect and adapt cycle extends into the sprint review and the sprint retrospective. Can you talk a bit about that shift from planning to feedback loops?
Sure, at the sprint review, the team demonstrates what they've built to the stakeholders, inviting feedback and verifying that all aligns with the sprint goal. Then, in the retrospective, they reflect on the process itself, looking at what worked and what didn't, then adjusting. This dual inspection mechanism is central to Scrum because it fosters constant improvement.
It really sounds like there's a continuous loop of planning, execution, feedback, and adaptation. But I wonder, don't these frequent meetings sometimes disrupt deep work? Or do they really streamline the workflow?
That's a fair point. People could argue that, oh, these meetings might be interruptive, but honestly, it's more like essential checkpoints. They are brief and focused, ensuring that everyone remains aligned and can self correct quickly. It's like getting a quick pit stop in a race, vital for refuel and strategy
Hmm,
adjustments.
got it. And what about the team structure itself? The development team is said to have no further internal titles and is entirely cross functional. How does that work in practice?
Right, that's a standout feature of Scrum. All members of the team share equal responsibility. There aren't segregated sub-teams for testing, dev, or design. Each person is entrusted to tackle various challenges, leveraging what are known as T-shaped
Yep.
skills. So they may have deep expertise in one area, but also a broad set of skills to handle other challenges. This not only fosters flexibility, but also strengthens the one for all for one accountability vibe.
That shared responsibility really does underline the teamwork philosophy. But don't you think sometimes specialization could get lost in this model, especially when complex problems need deep expertise?
That's a that's a common critique. While specialization is valuable, Scrum urges teams to learn across disciplines. In practice, even though each member may not be an expert in every area, the T-shaped skills model ensures there's enough collective expertise to handle complex issues without relying on external specialists.
Yeah, that makes
It's a
sense.
trade-off between autonomy and specialization, designed to keep the team nimble.
So essentially, the idea is to streamline communication and decision making by eliminating hierarchy within the team, correct?
Exactly. Not only does that promote faster decisions, but it also eliminates the bottlenecks that can arise when tasks are forwarded through various layers. all members are equally responsible and accountable, which reinforces that, well, together they own the success or failure of the sprint. It's empowering.
Right. And speaking of empowerment, let's talk about the ideal team size. They suggest between 3 to 9 members, with a sweet spot of 5 to 7. What's the rationale behind that?
The logic is pretty straightforward. With fewer than 3 people, the team might lack the necessary cross-functional skills, and once you go above 9, you face communication challenges. It's like in a small orchestra. The instruments blend really well when there are just enough players but too many, and it can turn
Yeah, I see
chaotic.
that.
That optimal size helps maintain quick coordination and solid interpersonal dynamics.
Makes total sense. But there's a tricky situation that often gets brought up. What happens if the team realizes mid-sprint that they need more hands or that someone might be underperforming?
Oh, that's an interesting challenge. The guidelines suggest that you generally shouldn't add or remove team members in the middle of a sprint because it risks jeopardizing the sprint goal. Instead, if the team identifies a skill gap or underperformance, it's better to address it after a discussion. The Scrum Master, who, just to be clear, is not a traditional manager, might need to work with HR or a development manager, but the focus is on enabling the team rather than
Right.
penalizing anyone. It's a supportive rather than punitive structure.
I appreciate that perspective. It highlights the emphasis on maintaining stability within the team. However, are there cases when adding a member mid-sprint is justified?
Well, the Scrum Guide does imply that changes are permitted as long as they don't risk the sprint goal. So if a team member is just underutilized and an extra person can load balance the work without causing communication issues, it might be acceptable. But generally, such changes are best left for sprint boundaries to keep things smooth. It's more of an exception than the rule.
Understood. And what about the overall communication within the team? I read that transparent and high bandwidth communication is crucial here.
Yes, indeed. Transparent communication is vital for Agile success. It means that team members, whether in the daily stand-up or informal chats, need to be upfront about progress, challenges, and even suggestions for improvement. The idea is to minimize any misunderstanding or delays. In real life, it's like walking over to someone's desk to
Exactly.
clear things
So,
up instead of playing endless email ping pong.
it seems like a significant focus is on efficiency and keeping everyone on the same page. With that in mind, how does the self-organizing nature affect the way the team handles problems or obstacles during a sprint?
Great question. Self-organization means that no one is waiting around for directions. If a roadblock appears, the team collectively decides how to address it. They might reassign tasks, seek quick clarifications from the product owner, or even adjust the plan on the fly during the daily scrum. It's kind of like an impromptu brainstorming session where every input matters, ensuring that the progress doesn't stall
Yep.
for long.
And that constant adaptation seems to be at the heart of Agile methodology, right? It's a continuous loop of inspection, adaptation, and execution.
Precisely, that's the core. The cycle of planning, executing, inspecting, and adapting fuels the Agile engine. The Scrum Development Team truly embodies this by being accountable for every step. They're both the doers and the improvers in the process. It really showcases
Right.
the iterative nature of Agile development.
One thing I'm curious about is the idea of no titles within the team. While that promotes equality, don't you find it sometimes complicates things, especially when external stakeholders try to interact with the team?
I get where you're coming from, and it's a valid concern. The no titles concept is meant to ensure collective ownership, but it might, at times, blur accountability lines to outsiders. However, within the Scrum framework, clear communication of roles during meetings and via shared artifacts helps mitigate that risk. So, while it might initially seem less hierarchical, the team still exhibits clear implicit responsibilities. It's all about trust and mutual respect.
That, in essence, builds the self-sustaining team culture, right? Where everyone feels responsible for the final outcome, and there's no waiting for orders.
Absolutely. That shared responsibility creates a kind of all-in attitude. Every team member is simultaneously a contributor, a problem solver, and an innovator. And that, by the way, is what makes agile development so dynamic and, let's be honest, so rewarding when it all clicks.
Yeah, definitely. This discussion really highlights the holistic structure of Scrum, combining responsibility, adaptability, and transparency. It's like each sprint is a mini adventure for the team.
Exactly. It's an adventure where every day brings a new challenge and a new opportunity to refine the process. And that's why the Scrum Development Team is so critical. Their ability to self-organize, cross-collaborate, and communicate effectively turns those challenges into stepping stones for success.
Right on. Well, it's been fascinating unpacking all these layers today. It really offers a deep dive into not just how Agile works, but why these teams function as they do.
Absolutely. It's like an ecosystem where every component, every role works in harmony to achieve that sprint goal. And understanding these dynamics can really empower organizations to get the most out of their agile practices.
Yep. Thanks for breaking it all down so clearly. Always a pleasure to explore such rich topics with you.